Thank you to my members for making this video possible. You guys are the best. Mwah! When was the last time that you looked at a dragon in Dark Souls and felt something other than awe? We charge into dragon fights with our great swords raised and our attunement slots full, and we only see them as these impressive obstacles. Boss fights, achievements, sources of souls, and a path towards an ending. But these creatures, they were once the gods of a world that has almost completely forgotten them. I, personally, used to see only their overbearing size, their breath attacks, and this sheer overwhelming presence that they hold. But most importantly, their scarcity. But the more I play through these games, the more I see something else. An overwhelming sadness. The last remnants of a dying age clinging to the edges of a world that has left them behind. Long before Gwyn's Age of Fire, the dragons reigned in endless grey. They were everlasting, immortal beings of stone and scale. There was nothing but dragons. For eons, the world was unchanging, shrouded in a grey fog and a peaceful silence. And then came fire. The famous three and the forgotten fourth, they rose from nothing and declared war on time itself. As we all know, Gwyn shattered the world of stone with lightning, and the Witch of Izalith developed a heretical flame. The pygmy bestowed life taken from life, and Nito offered eternal rest for the soon-to-be dead. But perhaps the cruelest blow of all came from one of that same grey stone, Seath the Scaleless. Seath's betrayal wasn't just strategy, it was the moment of the dragon's fate being absolutely sealed. He sold his own kind for knowledge, a chance at survival, for power, and for greed. In my own opinion, what Seath did was the first sin. He profited from the slaughter of his own kind to live a life doomed to madness because his dragonkin could see the bile within him clearer than Gwyn could. If Seath, by chance, did even care, what would he have to remember his kin by? Scattered bones turned into blacksmith material. A handful of dying dragons too ancient, too deluded to even remember what it was like to rule. I often imagine what that must feel like for them. Maybe out of compassion, but most definitely due to this endless sense of, I simply belong nowhere. To watch a world you once painted with dragons turn to literal ash and dust around you, to know there was a point in time when you did belong here, to look to the men who seek dragonhood just to escape from the convolution of time, to be dying on a mountain when you shouldn't be dying at all, to see stone become no more than pathing and those akin to your species be treated like beasts. To be the last chapter of a story nobody but yourself remembers. The dragons we see in Dark Souls, at those points in time in which we see them, are nowhere near on the same stature as Gwyn. They are survivors of a genocide, hiding in forgotten corners of the map, waiting. For what? I am not even sure the dragons themselves know. And yet, when we walk through the fog, we are prepared to fight, but importantly, to win, because that is what the game teaches us to do. There are many dragons within Dark Souls, and all of them are equally just as miserable and impressive as each other. Dark Eater Midir, Bilionor's most loyal subject and a unique case, entombed with the princess in a ringed bubble, raised by the archdragons and cursed without knowing by Manus to eternally devour and combat all abyss that dares to breach Gwyn's perfect prison. A creature of immortality knocked down to nothing more than a lapdog. Or perhaps Midir held a righteous and great presence within the Ringed City. The wyverns scattered across Lothric, haunting the scenery, perched like statues of a forgotten age. They lash out when threatened, but there's no malice there, only an instinct to protect their scales from those who seek to collect them as trophies. Violence begets violence. And then, of course, there's Seath, twisted, half mad, and missing that token dragon regality, but importantly, he is completely and utterly alone. His crystal archives are perverted from a study to a jail. He's surrounded by his own experiments, his mind completely fractured by centuries of solitude and obsession with the need to be remembered. He offered a newfound power to the Hollows, and from it sparked universities and prestigious sorcerers. All the while, the remnants that seeped out into the books of the archive became poison to those studying within the archives, reinforcing them in this crystal. Seath was remembered, and remembered quite well, but also he was remembered with this newfound prophecy. All those who seek to remember Seath shall gain great power and intelligence, just to go mad like the dragon himself. Seath is arguably the most hated of all of the dragons, and yet even he feels less like a villain and more like a warning that nobody in Dark Souls' history has ever followed. But despite all of this, despite everything Seath had ever done, none of it would have ever happened had Gwyn not thrown that first bolt of lightning. Was it Seath himself who brought the misery, or was it someone in a more familiar shape? But when we play the games, we, or maybe just myself, don't think about any of this. We see health bars at the bottom of our screen, we see souls to transfuse for weapons. What we don't see is that overwhelming loneliness. The dragons of Dark Souls aren't inherently evil, not even Calamite, as after all, the Abyss believed that what it was doing was completely correct. They're simply left over. And in a flame obsessed with this endless cycle of fire and dark, maybe that makes them the only things that truly exist outside of the rules. So why does this matter? Because in Dark Souls, we are participants in a cycle of conquest, of survival, of forgetting and remembering. And when we slay these dragons without question, we're not just killing bosses, we're helping to erase the last traces of a world that came before. From the gaping dragon to the magnificently fake ancient dragon, each one of them is nothing more than a last memory. Personally, when I fight a dragon now, especially in Elden Ring where dragons are so regal, and I can't help but wonder, why am I doing this? Is it for the souls? Or is it simply because that is the way the world works? Because in a place where fire devours everything, no one bothers to mourn what has been lost. The truth is, this video isn't about dragons at all. It's about us, you. Our willingness to destroy what we don't understand or do understand. Our tendency to mistake survival for villainy. The choice to go through with something despite the implications. Maybe that's why the Archdragon part of Dark Souls really stays with me. Because compassion for these creatures is something so uniquely human. It's about resisting the fatalism that defines Dark Souls. It's about asking, what if we looked at these dying things in this world, knowing that we can't save them, and choose to care anyway, even if just for a moment? If even Ornstein can find it within him to feel for these poor winged creatures, why can't I as the player? Or maybe Havel was completely right all along. They work better as upgrade materials anyway. If you think that way, or this way, or both ways, I think the dragons suddenly become more than a big thing to gawk at. Some of them steadily going mad, cursed, an imposter in a foreign body searching for a true body, fallen from grace, rotting, or simply tired. All of these things become mirrors of yourself, but despite everything, it's still you. Remember that you're not just facing a beast. You're standing in the presence of something older than fire, older than the Four Lords, older than the world you're trying to burn or extinguish. Awe can be powerful, but understanding is transformative and permanent in some cases. And if we can feel even a little compassion for them, if we can see them not as enemies, but as the fading, regal, mighty kings that they are, then maybe, just maybe, we'll walk away from Dark Souls, not with more souls, but with a little more humanity. Until next time, praise the sun, but remember to embrace the stone beneath your feet.
Don't you dare let yourself go hollow, lest my time spent on you be wasted.